The first hole, we like our first holes on a course to be representative of the general idea of the entire design. There's an expansive fairway area framed by bunkers on the left and a smaller bunker on the right, but the key characteristic of the design is a style of the green called a redan, R-E-D-A-N. That green allows the accomplished player to hit an approach shot very high in the air and stop it on the green, but it allows a less accomplished player like myself to play out to the right side of the green and let the landform work the ball into the middle and left side of the green. And putting the ball on the ground and letting it work on the ground is an important characteristic of the rework at Abico. The second hole is a bit of a deceptive golf hole. The bunkers on the right-hand side tend to draw your eye towards them, and you want to shorten the golf hole because it's a slight dogleg to the right. So that's where I hit my drive, and then I realized when I got out there that I had a very difficult shot. When you come in from the right side, you're playing to a very shallow green. It was really placed to remind you of where your tee ball should be. It's a long hole. It's hard to hit the green in the air with your shot. Most people will have to roll it on, so they will have to ignore the siren song of the bunkers on the right and play more down the left-hand side of the hole. That's another green that was reproduced largely as it existed originally. The third hole is really indicative of the strength of the original design of the golf course. That hole was put back very similar to what was here originally. The tees are in the exact same position, and the green is in the exact same spot, contoured very similarly. I just found it to be a very pleasing par 3, especially for the first par 3 of a round. I think it just has a lot of the characteristics with the green up in the air a little bit and the bunkers down below the green. One thing that I felt that we wanted to add to the golf course in our rework was a drivable par 4, and there wasn't a hole like that out here. So we moved the tees up a little bit and altered the fairway bunkering. In fact, there's a bunker left of the fairway and well short of the green that features a very strong back side on it that a good player could hit over that bunker, catch that slope, and be kicked towards the green. The average player will play out to the right in a manner that's a little bit more safe. The fifth hole was really an interesting one. Up in the area of the original greens, there was a unique ravine to the left of the greens where the land fell off into a low area. And we felt we wanted that to become an integral part of the golf hole. But we knew that if we made it an integral part of the golf hole, perhaps too many of the average players would find their shots down in there and it would be too difficult. So we made an adaptation of a punch bowl green there, so that when a good player plays the hole and hits a long drive, they'll have a wedge, a very short shot into the green, and they can shoot directly for the pin. But when I hit my normal 210-yard drive and I have a 6-iron left, I can aim out to the right of the green, and the slope in that area will then kick, bounce, and roll my ball onto the green. So it gives me a way to get close to the pin like the accomplished player, but I'm able to take the hazard to the left of the green out of play. And that's something that we're very much looking for in our design work, is alternative ways to play the same golf hole. The sixth hole had some wonderful characteristics in the way the hole ran over the land, and we wanted to emphasize those characteristics with some of our design work. There's a great huge swale in the landing area, but what was really interesting is there's a tree up on the same plateau level of the green on the right third of the fairway. The way that hole plays now is a long player who wants to reach the green in two can go in the little slot between the single tree out in the middle of the fairway and the trees on the right. It's a demanding shot, but it's a shot that they can try because the green aligns with the direction from which they're playing their shot. So even the average player needs to think about where they want to put their second shot. They can drop it over the bunker to the right of the tree and then have a shot that aligns with the angle of the green, or they can play out to the left of the tree that's in the center of the fairway and then have a more difficult shot into the green. That's what good strategic design is. It's risk and reward. Play the risky shot, and if you're successful, your next shot is easier. Avoid the risky shot, but then your shot to the green is more difficult. It's all about alternatives in play. The seventh hole has generally similar play characteristics that it did originally. It's a somewhat demanding par 3. We ended up with a larger green there because we felt that was necessary on a par 3 of that length. And the hole plays really long, even for its card yardage, because you pretty much have to hit it in the air from the tee to the green. The sharp slope down that's in the approach area makes the hole quite a bit more demanding. It's a very testing par 3. The eighth hole was an interesting example of the evolution process that occurred during the renovation. We had started off with some bunkers on the right-hand side of the landing area, and the club didn't think that they were prominent enough, so we changed and added some bunkers in that area that shifts the play on the tee shot to the left. There's a very interesting relationship on this hole between the angle of the green and a fairway bunker short of the green. In order to set up a good angle to the green, players have to get as close to this large fairway bunker as they dare. At the green, it's interestingly contoured with two different plateaus, but players will soon come to learn that they can use those plateaus to direct balls to pin positions that are cut right behind the front bunker on the green. Many people think that they can unlock the key to a golf hole by looking at the fairway bunkers, and while that's often true, it's not always true, and the ninth hole is a good example of that. If you play down the left side near the fairway bunker, the mound and bunker features that separate the 9th and 18th greens can block your visibility of pin positions on the 9th green. So again, players should be careful to not be enticed by the siren song of the fairway bunker, and the drives are best hit down the center to right side of the 9th fairway. The 10th hole has been lengthened by adding a new back tee and by pushing the green back and to the left. The aspect that I find really appealing, especially after playing the bunkers on the right side, there are a pair of bunkers probably 120 yards out from the green. They're in a position to catch a lot of shots but they open up the angle of the green from that side. And so I would suggest that players who want to have an easier shot to the green can play down that right-hand side, but they need to be careful to avoid that bunker pair. The 11th hole contains the ravine feature that works its way through the golf course. The 11th hole is a golf hole where players want to hit more of a controlled tee shot, and they might not want to hit a driver because they'll end up in the downslope going into the ravine or in the bottom of the ravine, which really isn't the best spot to approach the green from. So I'd say this is a good hole to favor placement on the tee shot rather than absolute distance. The 12th hole at 562 yards, they probably do need to hit their strongest tee shot there. But then, once you've made the fairway, you're probably not reaching this green in two, and you're better off to play for position depending on where the pins are on the greens. I wouldn't say that every day you want to hit down the left-hand side of number 12 on your second shot or the right-hand side of number 12. You want to play down the side that the pin position for that day is easiest to access. We liked keeping both of the greens on 13, so we connected them into one. And they're at a nice diagonal angle to the line of play on the hole. So if the pin is in the left front of the green, it can be as much as a 2 or 3 club difference for when the pin is in the back right of the green. It's another par 3 where the land forms a ravine between the tee and the green, require the ball to fly completely in the air to reach the putting surface. There's really a fanciful collection of bunkers on the 14th hole. The left side of the fairway is fairly strongly bunkered. Right and long down the right-hand side of the fairway is bunkered. And there are bunkers that encircle the front of the green. Here the players shouldn't read too much into the location of the fairway bunkers. I'd say the best position drive on this hole is right down the middle of the fairway. We felt the impact of the fairway bunkers with my group because 3 of us thought we should hit towards the bunkers on the left, which brings the bunkers into play and also gives you a less appropriate angle into the green. Hole 15, the green and the existing tees were rebuilt, but very much rebuilt exactly as we found them. What we did on the 15th hole was add an alternate tee to the right, which lines up more with the axis of the green. And generally speaking, that makes an easier shot, but I think players will find hitting from the tee on the right makes a little bit more difficult shot, because if you pull it slightly or push it slightly, the green plays very narrow from that angle. Whereas from the original tee on the left, the green plays a little bit wider, and you can still succeed with your tee shot, even if you pull it a little to the left or push it a little bit to the right. Very awesome par 3s at Abaco. The 16th hole is a fairly long par 4. It's plenty of par 4 for just about everyone. There's a generous landing area, but the fun really starts on the approach to the green. It's a fairly long shot, but the players shouldn't allow themselves to be unnerved by either the contours of the green or the bunkers to the right of the green. 2/3 of the green can be reached by rolling the shot up to the green, and players should worry about the contours once they start putting, and they shouldn't be overly concerned with those contours on their approaches. The 17th hole is a dogleg right par 4. that features kind of an interesting feature. There are a couple of bunkers right in the middle of the landing area, and players have a choice. They can go to the right of those bunkers. It straightens out the hole and shortens it, but that's where the less wide portion of the fairway is. The players who play out to the wider part of the fairway on the left add distance to the golf hole and make their shot a little bit more difficult. The shot up to the green is just about all carry on the uphill portion of the golf hole. The 18th hole features a landing area braced or surrounded by bunkers, but the players shouldn't be distracted by that. When you get out in the landing area, you see there's plenty of place to hit your tee ball. There's a new tee that's been shifted to the left and back that adds some distance to the hole. And it's good to keep in mind that while the hole features some of the most fearsome looking bunkers on the golf hole, the finishing hole gives players plenty of fairway in which to hit their drive and plenty of open approach that let them roll their approach up to the finishing green at Abaco.